Hello, everyone, and have we got some breathtaking news for you? A judge has actually threatened to sanction the SEC. No, not sanction the people that the SEC are wanting to sue, but the SEC itself. So the courts are taking another step in their "we don't like what the SEC is doing" response, and it's about high time. And this is not a joke, people. They are actually threatening to sue, or not sue, sanction the SEC for their actions. If you look at this, U.S. judge warns SEC over false and misleading requests in crypto case. And they actually asked them, tell us why we shouldn't sanction you. And we're going like, yes, sanction the SEC. Show them who's boss. A federal judge threatened to sanction the SEC's lawyers after their false arguments prompted a court to impose a temporary restraining order on crypto firm Debtbox. Obviously, this is not very good for the SEC, as it shows that they are really violating the rules and principles, and they are not to be trusted. A federal judge on Thursday warned the SEC attorneys that he may sanction them for allegedly convincing a court to freeze a crypto firm's assets under false and misleading pretenses. So they lied, and they were found out that they lied, and these attorneys might be sanctioned. So this would actually get attorneys to not want to work for the SEC, because if they have to lie for the SEC, they could get disbarred or sanctioned, which is not very good for them. So according to an order issued by U.S. District Judge Robert Shelby of the U.S. District Court in Utah, the SEC's attorneys could be sanctioned for making misleading arguments about crypto project Debtbox's alleged efforts to transfer its assets and investors' funds overseas, leading to a court to freeze the project's bank accounts. But those alleged crimes look to be false, and they specifically said the SEC's misrepresentations undermine the integrity of the court's proceedings, because in a court, you do have to tell the truth. And if you swear to tell the truth and you lie, there could be sanctions coming, especially if you are lawyers. And like I said, this could lead to the SEC not having many lawyers to actually work for the SEC. Sanctions are penalties a court imposes on individuals who sign statements they know to be false or otherwise violate court procedures. So this is basically forcing the SEC to play by the rules that everyone else has to play by. And of course, the SEC has not been playing by those rules because, they're the government and they think they can get away with everything. But now that needs to stop right now. It could be fines, and it could be sanctions, and it could also be fines, and they're violating the court laws. And this will actually make other courts look at the SEC with a more scrutinized eye. They're definitely going to look for faults that the SEC has. And this is going to make courts even less friendly with the SEC than they have been. So I think this actually, it doesn't really necessarily mean that they're going to lose their other cases, but it's going to make them harder to win in those cases, because now they're aware that the SEC is making misleading statements, and it's been reinforced in court that they've been making misleading statements. So the trustworthiness of the SEC in the legal eye has been greatly reduced. So a federal judge first slapped Debtbox with a temporary restraining order, restraining its assets to its assets. However, he later dissolved the order after Debtbox demonstrated it had neither moved funds outside the U.S. or closed its bank accounts. So what the SEC alleged was not true, and they have to pay for it now. Of course, the SEC's Utah office did not immediately respond for a request for comment. So it's basically telling the SEC, if you have allegations, you had better damn well be able to prove those allegations. Otherwise, if you make us actually force an order on a company on false or fake allegations that you knew were fake, you're going to be in trouble, and we're going to sanction your lawyers so no one wants to work for you on the legal team. And without that, you can't sue anyone. So this is going to be a shot to the SEC lawyers that they can't just do whatever they want, and they have to follow the same rules. A big, big blow to the SEC and their enforcement efforts. Ethereum is getting more centralized than ever. As an on-chain report shows, the 10 biggest whales, or fat cats, control about over a third of Ethereum. Now, Ethereum supply, if you look at CMC, is I think 120 million right now, 120 million. And the latest reports show that the top 10 wallets control 41 million. That's more than 33%. That's not very decentralized, folks. So those of you that are making the case that Ethereum is not a security based on decentralization, not working anymore. Not only is Ethereum's validator nodes centralized because, like Lido literally owns like a third of them, its distribution is also very, very centralized. So it actually makes it more centralized than many other cryptos. So according to data from on-chain analytics sentiment, the largest whale wallets have continued to display an optimistic pattern for the cryptocurrency. Optimistic is used very loosely here. Us in the crypto industry don't really like it. The more centralized your coins are, the greater chance for fraud and the greater chance for manipulation, obviously. So basically, like both address counts, which count as these top 10 whales, have attached $41 million. $41 million. As it is apparent from the start, the supply of these whales has crossed the $41 million Ethereum mark following the latest continuation of the uptrend. While this rise has come, the top 10 Ethereum exchange wallets have seen a plunge instead, as they now just hold 8 million. So these whales are not exchanges, which means they're not customer funds. They're actually whales that hold the Ethereum. So that causes a lot of concern based on the manipulation. Obviously, it's a shift towards self-custody, and that generally is good for crypto. But what's not good for crypto or any coin is that the whales hold such a large amount. Now, it's still not like Solana, which holds which the VCs hold like about 90% of it or something. It's not like Ripple where the company holds like 40-50% of it. But the Ripple stuff is actually in escrow, whereas the Ethereum coins aren't. But this is like 30% of Ethereum in the private holdings of 10 individuals. That's very, very centralized. There are no 10 individuals that hold 30% of all the world's wealth. Even the richest guy like Elon Musk, he does not hold anywhere near 30% of the world's wealth. Probably like less than 1/10 of 1%. So the thing is, Ethereum is super, super centralized no matter which way you cut it, and they can't really get around it. So, this whole Howey test thing for Ethereum, if they say other things are the securities, Ethereum must be a security as well. So that argument just goes out the window. Not very good news for Ethereum. Coinbase has seen a record number of data requests from the government, and not just Uncle Sam, all manners of government, US and otherwise, and they're coming from more and more jurisdictions every year. So that means the world is cracking down on crypto. I do think this is pushing more people towards the DEX segment of it, and I think they're going to have a very, very hard time dealing with that. So it's not like a huge jump, but it's seen a 6% rise in requests from law enforcement and government agencies compared to 2022. Not just the United States, but other countries like the United Kingdom and Spain. And those only make up like 3/4 or 73% of the requests. So other smaller jurisdictions and countries are making requests as well. So they want more information from these exchanges. This does coincide with like them wanting these exchanges and wallets to provide them with more information and collect more information. The US made 5,686 requests to Coinbase. And so outside, the majority of these requests aren't even coming from the US, because there were 13,000 agency requests, and only less than 6,000 of them came from the US. And 90% of them came from criminal enforcement agencies, which means stuff like the DOJ, not so much the SEC. Germany requested 1,900. And of course, the UK requested 1,400. Now, the UK requests actually were less than last year, but other jurisdictions easily made up the difference. Australia is really clamping down with more than double the requests of last year. So you can, let's actually look at which companies are actually making the requests this year. It's an international effort, obviously. If we look at the graph, you can see some of the countries making these requests are very small countries and jurisdictions. Ukraine is up the most, but that's not really all that surprising. They're fighting a war. There's a lot of people trying to finance stuff via crypto in the country because cash might be kind of hard to get. So obviously, the Ukraine agencies are going to be making a lot of requests to Coinbase. Australia, as we've mentioned, but Portugal, Romania, Nigeria, Slovenia, India, Latvia, Norway, Singapore, Malta, Italy, Taiwan, France, and Poland. Now, some of these jurisdictions are quite friendly to crypto, but they still want those taxes paid. And, you look at this graph, the US isn't even on this list. of countries that increase their requests the most. So you know that they're actually clamping down. I think in the future it'll be harder and harder to actually get away with money laundering and tax evasion in any country with cryptocurrencies. Coinbase obviously is going to say yes to these informational requests for the most part. They're trying to expand in the EU and other jurisdictions. I mean, they're trying to expand in the EU, United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, Singapore, and Australia. And of course, like they're going to have to follow the rules in those jurisdictions. So it's going to be a cross-government and cross-country effort to rein in crypto, especially the tax evasion and money laundering part. Now, a lot of you may not like that, but that was always going to be the case. It will spur some people to DEXs, but the thing is, even if you go to a DEX, you have to cash out an off-ramp sometime, and those off-ramps, I bet, will be KYC, so they will be able to track you. I think they're going to resist using crypto as just like accepting crypto in like everyday purchases for as long as possible, because that would make it harder. And it's going to be several years before that comes. Even if you go through a card or something, you are going through like a fiat banking channel, so you will actually be tracked. And they're starting to track by login, IP address, and stuff like that. And I think they will like find a way to somehow either shut down certain mixers or even KYC them. So they're working very, very hard for these information requests, and these exchanges are actually obliging by those information requests. So if you're trying to get away with something illegal, probably not great news for you. Coinbase has also cleared up some of their Solana comments. There's been a lot of rumors that Coinbase is going to integrate Solana. And they've said they're actually very interested in integrating other fast L1s, and they pointed to Solana as an example. So obviously that's very, very good news for SOL. Now, despite its downtimes, Solana's UI is very friendly and it's very easy to use, which gives it a huge advantage. And its speed is something that Coinbase is going to look at because they know how bad the Ethereum fees are. More and more of their transactions are coming into layer 2. They obviously have a huge plan for Base, even though they do not expect to make a token. But expect Coinbase to be integrating Solana and other L1s in the coming years to facilitate that need. And I think Coinbase doing this could really, really stop Ethereum's dominance, because Coinbase has been pretty much exclusively on the ERC20 bandwagon. But if they start integrating like SPL20, like Cardano and other blockchains, it could really dampen the Ethereum dominance, because now they have like, ecosystems that are fully integrated with a fiat off-ramp, and that might definitely help liquidity for these tokens as well. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.